So my name's Adam Barraclough. I'm a Relationship Director for Lloyds in the mid-market space, serving the Yorkshire region.
And from your perspective, what would you say is the biggest challenge facing private businesses?
Well, I think we just touched on it in the discussion there. I think the biggest challenge, and I think one that Yorkshire businesses are proving particularly successful at in meeting that challenge, is the retention of talent. So I've seen that across a number of my client base. It seems to be a perennial discussion about the retention of that talent, making sure that they keep the right people and also recruit the right people. I think Yorkshire's a great place to work. I think if you are creating the right hygiene factors in terms of basic pay and rations, that's one thing, but I think equally giving your employees and potential recruits a sense of vision and purpose and treating them with dignity and respect and making them feel like they're part of something is equally important in terms of that retention and recruitment piece. So why is it important for the region? I think the Yorkshire region has a history of long-owned family-type businesses and private businesses. I think that is important. I think if you look at the success stories in UK corporate history, it tends to be the businesses that have a long-term plan, and I think that goes hand in hand with private businesses that aren't managed necessarily to stock market, to year-end period, to half-year results. They have a long-term vision about what they want to be and how they want to get there, and they're not too worried about pleasing an investor base and having those pressures of reporting results to market. Equally from there's a continuation piece that if you look at sort of FTSE 100 businesses, there is a history of replacing chief executives, CFOs, and we've seen this very recently with sort of well-known recent departures in FTSE 100 businesses. You don't see too much of that sort of chop and change in private businesses, and I think that continuity piece and employee share ownership and ownership by the management team is important in the success of those businesses.
I think two of the themes that came out regularly this morning were clarity of vision and how important that is, and that long-term being patient and having a bit more flexibility and room to make mistakes ultimately pays dividends.
So I think certainly what I've seen during the last recession is that people who have had the history of going through a recession before, they knew what to do, they knew how to tighten the belts, they knew how to generate cash within the businesses to weather out that storm that came with reducing order books and de-stocking where they needed to. They'd already had that playing in the 80s and 90s and instinctively knew what to do. And if you look at the last recession, as painful as it was, the incidence of corporate failure, and particularly private business failure, were nothing like we saw in previous recessions, particularly in this region. I think that was a real fillip for this region, that they had that success and knew what to do.
What support is it that they need?
In terms of support, I mean, financial resource is important. Again, we've touched on the talent piece. I think leaning on teams of professional advisors and building up a network of professional advisors that you're able to lean on to glean support on. That might be about access to capital markets. That might be about access in export markets. It might be about bringing in HR expertise. But I think that there is a readily available pool of external advisors that are able to help. And I think it's about building that network around the business, so that if you don't have that particular resource available to your company, you know where to get it and you can bring that advice in. I do think that we are looking at a period of structural change in the economy. We're seeing that things like the advent of Amazon and Amazon Local may prove a particular challenge, but it's also an opportunity at the same time. What happens in Europe, what happens with the Chinese economy, again, are threats, but I don't think there are any threats that particular businesses in this region aren't able to countenance, because they have that expertise. They are able to bring it in, but equally they have that experience of going through those periods of upheaval and downturn if they should arrive. I think it will be interesting to see how private businesses in this area react to what I think will be a structural change in the economy in terms of how things are delivered ultimately to people's doorsteps from B2B, from B2C.